What's up, y'all? It's your boy here, Scotty McLeod, and today we're going to do a reaction to Primal's anniversary. And fun fact, though, actually, this month, okay, so we're already in March, right? Today is March 7th, right? Correct? Well, I got news for you, diehard Primal fans, and that is I'm trying to think here. On March 25th of 2003, this masterpiece was released for the PlayStation 2. So, Primal's anniversary is going to come up this month. I'm so darn excited. I really am. And also that I'm just so darn excited. You don't know how excited I am for the anniversary of Primal. It's going to happen on the 25th of this month of March, because it did came out in 2003 in the early 2000s. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Primal review PS2 20th anniversary special. Okay, let's go.
You okay, Rocky?
Of course. How could I possibly be happier?
Primal is a graphically impressive action-adventure horror title developed for PS2 by Sony Computer Entertainment's Cambridge Studios.
Yup.
According to a Eurogamer article, the concept for Primal began in August 1999, but didn't begin development until 2000. Direct correspondence with creative director Chris Sorrell revealed what was initially meant to be Fable instead turned, almost overnight, into what was to become Primal, taking 3 years to complete. Primal saw an initial release in North America on March 25, 2003, and later came out on 11th of April 2003 in Europe. It didn't see a release in Japan until 18th March 2004, under the name Saints Divine Demons. A version of the game also exists for those interested, though you might be hard-pressed in obtaining a physical version, as it is a little rare. The game was ported to the PS3, PS4, and PS5. The plot circles around Jen and her boyfriend Lewis. Both get attacked after leaving a nightclub by a shape-shifting creature which proceeds to abduct Lewis and leave Jen for dead. She is later found and brought to an intensive care unit where it's a touch-and-go scenario. A gargoyle by the name of Scree comes along and takes Jen's soul from her body, giving it a form similar to an astral projection.
I've never been an astral projection before.
Hurriedly, Jen is introduced by Scree to new realms, new creatures, new cultures, and an ensuing battle between good and evil. A dark force named Abaddon, Lord of Chaos, is fixated on becoming the dominant one and ruling all worlds, though this would destroy everything, including himself, which is why Arella, Lady of Order, wants to stop him before it's too late, as her powers are also fading thanks to Abaddon's plan. Enter our heroes Jen and Scree. There are 4 realms to be explored in total, all being fed energy to maintain its physical and spiritual integrity by being known as
Solemn,
Chronos. Each realm is
Aquas,
represented by an element
Epha,
and suited to Terra.
and Volca.
Solemn is represented by Earth and Pentacles, Aquas by Water and Chalices, Aetha, Air and Swords, and finally Volca by Fire and the Wands. Each are inhabited by people inspired by mythology, such as the Ferai, a group of satyrs with their king, Hern.
What I really loved about the game, not gonna lie to y'all, is the soundtrack and the level designs and the voice acting. It's so freaking awesome and spectacular, if you know what I mean.
Having been inspired by Hern the Hunter, Aquas is home to the Undying, a legendary aquatic race, as the entirety of the area is a water world. Aetha is home to the Wraith, a cold-hearted race who are cruelty incarnate, but produce a great deal of wine, likely to make up for the miserable conditions they live in. And Volca is Volcano Land, where bird people called the Jinn live, inspired by Arabic lore. Kronos is naturally also inspired by myth, just as other characters Arella, Abaddon, Belzor, and Abdazor are. Obviously Abaddon will be a more recognizable name, while others are based on other entities or are characters in their own right. Jen is voiced by Hudson League, who played Callisto and Xena Warrior Princess.
Yep, Xena Warrior, Xena Warrior.
Who was warm, but not afraid to break out and give it their all. Also wanting Scree to have a noble sound, they thought of Jakar from Babylon 5, played by Andreas Katsoulis.
Yep, the man, the myth, the legend.
Neither had worked on a video game project before, but their history and fantasy franchises likely helped Andreas and Hudson slip more naturally into their appointed roles. The actors' chemistry works well, and the player will likely find both characters growing on them quickly as a result.
Part 2 controls.
In the game, each character has their own abilities and can be applied separately or in unison. Beyond travelling together, typically one will venture ahead in effort of finding a way to regroup and advance. There are some sections where some light puzzle work is involved, Jen might even need the help of her demon aspects to progress.
Yep.
Scree may need to climb environments or possess certain statues or pillars in order to move.
Because in the game of Primal, you can either switch between Jen or Scree. So you guys need to help one out of the other and try to do all these puzzles and all that stuff throughout the game of Primal. I mean, the only puzzle that I actually did have a problem doing was the one when I was at Aquis, because the queen of Aquis, Queen Aino, she was suffocated because she was on top of the surface, right, of the water, and she couldn't breathe or anything like that, right, and we need to find one of the cogs to switch back on to turn it and stuff to get her back down to the bottom of the ocean to get her to breathe again. Now, let me tell you about that. I could not find the switch. And by the time I found it, she croaked on me. And I had to start all over to the part where she was choking to death because she couldn't breathe on the surface.
To move on. The obstacles are never difficult, rather just a little time consuming. Cambridge Studios opted to majorly use environments as puzzles rather than the traditional door and key. And though they are featured, you have more levers to pull than keyrings to find. Added space, Jen can walk, run, fight, and offer some comical exchanges. She's a likable character. In Demon Worlds, Jen can pick up and use energy crystals, scattered throughout levels which replenish demonic health at the cost of 2 seconds.
Sorry for keep pausing this, y'all, but what I'm about to say is that, what was I going to say about this, about Primal? Oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. I know what I was going to say, and that is, throughout the game, right? Throughout the game of Primal, you need to look for these objects. Not any type of objects or mythical type of magical items or anything like that, right? But anyway, the most important thing that you gotta find throughout the whole entire game of Primal, right, is the tarot cards. Because each tarot card that you collect throughout the whole game of Primal, or the PS2, it will unlock the fan art of the characters. Because I did not know that until I was playing it, until I looked it up. Why you need to collect the tarot cards. Because if you collect all the tarot cards, you get to unlock the fan art behind it, I think. Because, last time I played it. But, to be honest with y'all, I really want to get back into playing Primal. But first, I cannot play Primal until I beat Beyond Good and Evil first. So, yeah.
And potentially...
Oh, sorry for pausing.
getting smacked around a little. Scree, on the other hand, is a stone gargoyle who can walk, run, and interact with other rocks. Rocky walls, rocky statues and pillars, rocks
places
are the main environmental objects you interact with as Scree that isn't picking things up and trying to stay out of enemy line of fire. Some are lodestones, and these are necessary to possess said statues, while others have life energy for whenever Jen needs it. There are other ways for Scree to absorb energy, such as morbidly through downed enemies, and some rare crystals which quickly replenish Scree's entire health bar. He can tank hits with little repercussion outside of 3 sections in the game. On the other side of the coin, Jen can be beaten out of all demonic essence, leaving her to endure in human form with a knife at the ready. Beyond the game's beginning, this gives that hopeful chance of restoring energy and shapeshifting back to finish what they started. Should things go very wrong and the fight is lost entirely, a small cutscene shows Jen back at the hospital right before controls are handed to Scree. At this point, Scree can run to the nearest rift gate and pull Jen's soul back. If that isn't possible, or you're too slow.
Okay, I did not know that if we play as Jen, right? I'm just saying, if we play as Jen and we get killed and we use up all her energy, right, from her demon forms, and we die, right? And I didn't know we gotta head back to the warp gate and try to revive back her astral projection. I did not know about that until now that I'm learning about it,
Then, game over. The 3 spots in Primal where you'll need to think about Scree's life bar is firstly near the beginning of the game, but you don't need to worry, as it's incredibly difficult to die there. The other 2 are near the end of the game. As mentioned, there are some useful items to find in levels, but also collectible tarot cards. Every card contains concept work, which you can check out after finding them. These can be either well hidden, or take great effort not to stumble upon. The game concept included using meanings of the tarot which apply to characters and realms, even labeling worlds and debug menus after suiting the tarot. Exploration won't offer much else, unless you simply want to increase your collectibles, though I'd argue that the visuals are a nice enough treat in return for roaming around. There mostly aren't any remarkable differences between each official version, excluding Japan, which saw a few unique changes, extra cutscenes, smoother demonic traits, and a new human form. This however did not translate to menus or Jen's masked ball gown outfit. All play relatively the same, except for the Japanese release. Circle is both the action button and used to instigate battle. This can be a problem. Low on health, want to run away and interact with something first? Not unless you can lure those enemies away first. Admittedly, this isn't very difficult. Controls are otherwise relatively straightforward, except that shoulder buttons are used for attacks, and the D-pad is reserved for Jen's demon aspects. Lastly, select allows you to switch characters. Jen and Scree can also share some fun.
Hey, Scree. Why the stony face?
What? Oh, yes, I see. Very droll.
As Jen can
Part
tell
4
jokes by
atmosphere.
button prompt. Some fall flat, but it's a nice touch. As I'm sure you can already tell, Primal is brimming with atmosphere. It's dark, glowy, and sometimes ethereal. Think Legacy of Kain's Soul Reaver, but at a nightclub. That's probably the best way to describe Primal's atmosphere. Areas are gorgeously gloomy, or bright and balmy. A puff of mist will pop up every now and then, either as a landmark to guide your path, or to complete the overall design. The lighting and glow effects are quite impressive. The functioning mirrors are highly appreciated as well. Primal's atmosphere is just wonderful, and this particular style isn't something you see in games every day. The design comes from a mixture drawn from mythology, and some obvious gothic greatness. Chris Sorrell has cited Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Dark Angel as partial inspiration for Primal.
Whoa, I did not know that!
To be boring, a playable character with a special ability was sought after.
I didn't know Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the other show called Angel or whatever inspired Primal for the PS2. I did not know that. Wow.
Comparing the two shows' protagonists to Primal's Jen reveals some similarity. Max and Buffy are both strong female characters and have some pretty witty humor and comebacks. Its initial early 2000s gothic appearance might put some people off, but I'm not complaining. Primal has a rather memorable game design. It's worth mentioning that this is also due to Primal coming from some of the same developers and composers as Sony PlayStation's Medieval. Naturally, they were going all in.
Spoilers.
Into the story and plot, I'll just put up the spoiler tag.
I mean, I already know what happens though at the end of the game because, I already beaten it like 2 times like 2 years back. But like I said, I really do feel like replaying this all over again on my PlayStation 2. Like all over again. But I just hope to hop back onto my PS2 and and start playing it again, just to enjoy it again, though, because, that game holds a special, to my heart because, it's such a good underrated masterpiece that came out in 2003 for the PlayStation 2, of course. But yeah, I'm still shocked. I didn't know Buffy and the show called Angel inspired Primal. I did not even know that. Like, oh wow.
Tag here, so nobody misses it. If you're interested in things so far, then skip ahead into the video, or not.
I'm not
Don't
skipping.
Mind the gap? There's a bit to the overall story and happening. After being brought into the Nexus, Jen is requested to journey into Solum, the crumbling and earthquake-ridden realm of the Farai,
Solum.
for information on how to restore order to their world. News speaks of their king refusing to leave his throne and to give peace back to the land. In this cold, dark and snowing world, a somewhat intense earthquake soon strikes, and through a short discussion, we realise that Hearn cannot give up his position as king if there's no heir to the throne, giving us a goal to reach. We stumble upon King Hearn, who is skeptical at first of their reasons for being in his kingdom, but takes them up on their offer to help him find his son Jared, who has gone missing. Later we find a broken tip of a horn at the remains of a nearby battle scene, and soon we unearth that the Queen's realm, Davina, is acting quite unlike herself, compelling her guards to slaughter a holy shaman after he divulged that her secret will soon be found out. Keeping this in mind, Jen and Scurry press onward. Our team present the horn before King Hearn as he prays at a shrine to Arella. Angered at their disruption, he still asks for more information as it belongs to Jared. Jen approaches and the ceremonial ring lights up in a glowing green flame, marking her as Arella's champion. Hearn grabs Jen by the arms and uses his magic necklace to gift her the demonic Fairy energy. Jen quickly finds out that she's part demon, a human hybrid touched by chaos. Thanks to the vamp races, all demonic vitae is channeled for Jen's use. After a painful transformation, she continues fighting through multiple armies as a speeding ram. We find Jared held captive on sacred burial grounds that nobody ever visits, except for the suspiciously large amount of guards loyal to Davina, who aren't supposed to be there. It is here that Jared gives us some exposition. A shapeshifter not native to the lands has taken up house in Solom and is using her magic to transform into the image of Jared's mother, destroying the land while dressed in Davina's appearance. Jared only learned of this thanks to their bragging. Later we find that a locked chamber holds the remains of the real Queen Davina, preserved by terrible magic. Under recommendation by Scree, Jared cremates Davina to reveal the imposter. Unveiled at last, the shapeshifter tries using Queen Davina's remaining forces to kill our protagonist and heir to the throne, but is unsuccessful. Ern and those loyal to him soon interfere, putting a stop to the battle. The king is relieved to find his son alive, but knows what must be done. Hearn grabs the shapeshifter and throws himself off the edge of the building while holding the traitor. Jared becomes king, and peace returns. End scene. Leaving for the Nexus, a human of Belazor, the demon working for Abaddon, and who jumped Jen and Lewis in the beginning of the game, can be seen using a rift gate. Jen inquires about this, but Scree states that he couldn't see well enough, quickly shutting down conversation. Re-entering the Nexus, Jen confronts Scree about withholding information. An argument brews, but Arella is quick to enter the scene as an aspect formed by a collection of butterflies, successfully persuading Jen to continue her journey with Scree. Heading into Aquis, we find out that Jen can't swim, contrary to Scree's initial belief on all mortals having this ability. Carrying on ahead to find some remedy, Scree stumbles upon Queen of the Undying, being offered as sacrifice in effort to cure a plague that has befallen everyone.
But like I said, I had a hard time looking for the switch just to bring her highness down to the bottom of the water, because I cannot look for the freaking lever to bring her back down to the water, because it was just hard looking for that lever. I couldn't even find it. Like, it was just hard just doing the part trying to bring her back to the bottom of the water. But I killed her, and I had to replay the whole thing all over, and I just got frustrated,
Aquis residents have become angry lately because the plumbing doesn't work, resulting in contaminated water. So the king ordered that his queen be sacrificed to the great Leviathans in an attempt to appease them. Queen Aino's accepting of her fate, though Scree naturally expresses disapproval. He receives the Undyne energy from the queen after explaining his predicament and returns to Jen. Scree tricks Jen into accepting the Undyne form under technicalities of it being a gift. Jen goes swimming, but the queen is dying. Having a change of heart, the queen wants to live. Jen and Scree help Queen Aino out of the murder device, and Jen embarks into the tainted waters. Getting the purification systems back up and running, saving one Undyne trapped in the systems, and killing one husband later, the lakes are restored and the people rejoice. Time to head back to the Nexus. It's here that Jen becomes fed up with Scree and Arella needing her to constantly help them in what appears to be their problem. Arella then asks what she knows about her parents. We learn that Jen is an orphan who is half human and half demon, with powers even Abaddon and his subject Belazor can't comprehend properly. And there's one other hybrid who exists. We have to wonder who that could be. Her armies were destroyed while trying to save the two infants from the clutches of chaos. Scree, serving as Arella's general, hid the babies away before being captured and tortured relentlessly for years, without ever speaking a word about the hybrids. It is believed by Abaddon's subjects that Scree died during this period. Instead, he had secretly ejected his soul into a nearby gargoyle statue so he could escape. Ever since, Arella has been scrambling to keep balance of the realms, with Abaddon's lust for power ever increasing. Understandably moved, Jen agrees to quest with Scree into Aetha, one of the two regions aligned with chaos. Here we find that aristocratic rulers, Ram and Impusa, have turned to vampirism, granting renewed vitality for the couple after every drink. Public ceremony is held consistently to not only keep the aristocracy's longevity going, but to ensure that the entire village isn't swept away in a sea of rage. One of their guards, Valera, arrives as backup with a sword imbued with Wraith Vitae. Jen's vamp races react to the energy it holds.
I really like the funny part where Jen says, "Hold it right there, Xena." She literally just said her character name from the show, Xena, Princess Warrior. I thought that moment was pretty much iconic. You know, that line that she said, "I'll try to duke it out between Valera and Jen."
Here our team follows a local snooping wraith back to his wine cellar. Turns out he's been keeping everyone locked in his basement for their protection. The wraith we followed goes on to call Jen a corruption and blames her for Etha's downfall. He soon divulges in a Duke who once opposed the Count's methods in favour of the Helots was slaughtered and denied burial rites, his ghost forever wandering the cemetery grounds, and he was the old owner of that sword. The wraith hiding the peasantry states that he will offer himself up next as a blood sacrifice to preserve what remains of the village's population. We encounter the Duke's spirit, and attempting to lay him to rest, both realise the need for holy water to complete the rite, so we pay a visit to the wine wraith for help, and he does. A plan is shortly thereafter formulated to fight Valera, grab the sword, free the planted wraith who wants to become a juice box, save the Duke's soul, and eventually grab their demon aspect. Jen and Scree only receive one of these things, as the not-so-gentle monk gets abducted. Our duo set forth on a rescue mission, and to overthrow the aristocracy. In exchange for peace, the dead Duke hands over the wraith form, and Scree loses an ear along the way. After some puzzles, we bypass security and enter the castle through the pipes. Inside, Jen's carelessness gets her swooped up by Ram as his next science experiment. Scree saves her, but the Count stole Jen's fan braces. Without any powers, Jen crashes a masked ball using one of Ampuse's outfits, dances with Ram for his key, and steals the braces back. Our heroes
I'm not gonna lie. The part where Jen dresses up as one of the people from the ball, one of the wraith, she disguised herself as Princess Natalia. You know, that one wraith girl that's supposed to be at the wraith ball, along with Count Ram and his wife Ambusa. That part was so funny, especially when Jen was dancing with him in the cutscene when they were in the ballroom.
locate their daughter, Elizabeth, as she has a pair of keys unlocking the next location. Elizabeth dares Jen and Scree to murder her parents. Figuring it's not a bad plan from a kid, both take up the child's dare in exchange for her key, but Scree has to dance for it first. So, how to kill 2 vampires and destroy their harvesting machine. Our old friend re-enters the scene and explains that mixing hybrid blood with Realm and Ampuse's usual scarlet snack ought to weaken them. He tries to kill Jen while extracting her blood, likely as revenge for Etha's undoing. So Scree whacks the wraith over the head, saving his companion. Both travel to the ballroom, where Realm and Ampuse have just finished drinking. One battle later, and our duo leave an entire realm to be ruled by an 8-year-old who keeps a dead rat as a pet. Another job well done. Returning to the Heartland, Arella is nowhere to be found. The area is swept with storms so thick that our protagonists become separated, and Jen rushes ahead. We witness another hybrid tear out the heart of Kronos, killing the Nexus Protector. This turns out to have been done at the hands of Jen's partner, Lewis. Abaddon has taken over his free will with mind control powers. Now merely a puppet to the influences that supersede him, he leaves the Nexus and Jen to ponder the next move. Understanding that only one world remains on the holiday checklist, Jen and Scree embark to Volca. Landing, then making their way inside a dormant volcano that is soon to erupt. A Jinn awakens on the throne, pretending not to be the king as he greets Jen and Scree. The mysterious Jinn doesn't believe Jen will be of much use without their aspect, and so gives her their form. Delving deeper, we encounter a large arena where enemies quickly swarm Jen. Successfully fending them off, King Iblis reveals himself, pulling off the mask then claiming ownership of our heroine. It turns out his gift was tainted, pulling Jen under Iblis's control. Jen, now essentially sleepwalking, kicks Scree down a hole. Surviving the descent, and without any choice, our rocky hero seeks out Malakel, queen to the throne of Volca. She agrees to help, having learned of Kronos' death, sharing untainted Jinn energy so that it may be passed on. Scree scouts for Jen, finding her fighting off more enemies. Iblis's pull overwhelms Scree's attempts at trying to snap Jen out of it, so he possesses a nearby statue to snap her in half instead. Knocking her out, we pass on the untainted gift and Jen comes to. Both kiss and make up before pressing forth to find Malakel. The Queen instructs our duo to kill her husband and take his heart necklace. This heart grants Iblis the power of immortality, and the same could also be used to revive Kronos. Agreeing, we seek out King Iblis in the Hall of Gods, where he possesses a statue powered by lamps. Jen and Scree extinguish them, and his construct fails. Jumping to nearby safety, the king struggles to climb up, begging for help. Nobody's feeling particularly generous that day. So, with Iblis no longer immortal, Malakel drops her husband, then demands the heart. She drops that too. Taking a larger portion to become immortal, she states that the remaining piece is enough to bring back Kronos, then gives him a way out, leading to a hefty drop. One Jen couldn't survive. Scree tells Jen there's something he needs to do and that she may never see him again, beginning his ascent on a stone wall inside the room. Reaching the top, Scree speaks something and takes a tumble. Jen cries a little and returns his ear. A voice...
I'm not gonna lie, I cried during that cutscene when Scree crashes down to the ground and commits suicide. But he didn't actually commit suicide in the cutscene because he was trying to transform his soul into another human-like statue that is like Abdizer, General Abdizer. There you go. But yeah, I cried because I actually did thought Scree died during that cutscene.
Voice soon bellows from behind Jen, and it's our now restored General Abdizor, a towering beast with spiky hair and a goofy jog. Both are able to descend safely and return to the Nexus. The final showdown begins. Quickly making a plan, Abdizor charges Belazor over the edge, opening up a path for Jen to use the heart on Kronos. Abaddon takes the opportunity to appear and give Lewis enough time to steal the heart piece. Confronting her partner, Lewis is ready to fight. Jen is forced to battle for the heart. Each of the demon forms are challenged against Lewis, meanwhile Abdizor combats Belazor in a surprisingly quick battle. Using a makeshift shield, Abdizor reflects the energy Belazor attempts to strike him with back at the Nexus laser pointer. Repeating this 3 more times ends things with the mechanism coming apart and dropping onto Belazor, causing him to fall into the well of energy. Jen takes care of the last fight with Lewis before Abaddon's grip on him can be removed. Laying on the floor, Lewis talks one last time before falling lifeless. No time for grieving though. Abdizor calls on Jen to return with the heart. Racing toward the center of the Nexus, Jen is approached once more by Abaddon in a desperate attempt of intimidation. Through sheer willpower, Jen rushes through, letting her push the heart piece into Kronos' side, bringing him back to life and finally restoring order to the Nexus. Abdizor returns while carrying Lewis's body, and Arella emerges. They claim that nobody knows where the Nexus current goes, but that there may be a chance at Lewis's survival if they just throw him down there. Jen agrees, and Lewis is dropped into the unknown. Time to go home.
I still believe, if y'all have not seen my other Primal video, I did actually said that Lewis is alive in the demon world of Oblivion, but he's gonna do kind of like the same thing that Jed did in the first game of Primal, but this time the second game will just be about Lewis, just her boyfriend Lewis, her aka her fiance in Primal 2. But he will explore some new demon realms, kind of like Jen did in the first game of Primal. And while he's doing that, he's gonna try to find his way back home from Oblivion to Mortalis. That's how I'll sum up the plot though of Primal 2. Lois. Yeah, Lois. Lois needs to find a way back to Mortalis. Yeah, that's how I sum it up. Because imagine the second game being all about Lois, and it's just him trying to find his way back home to Mortalis, just so he can be with Jen again, and they can move on from all this demon junk and crap. Even though that they will never forget all the things that they witnessed when they were in the demon realm of Oblivion. You know what I'm saying?
Jen asks about Abaddon. All is well, but Arella and Abdizor will keep an eye out for him. Slowly, Jen dematerializes, leaving behind a pair of braces. In a post-credit scene, we can catch a glimpse of Jen visiting a still unconscious Lewis in hospital while reading to him. We never know the outcome, but naturally stay optimistic about what happens next. The end.
Sound design.
The soundtrack was composed by Andrew Barnabas and Paul Arnold, who also composed the medieval soundtrack. Joining with Prague Philharmonic Orchestra, they produced both ambient and special battle scores for the game, and the tracks are all solid. Classical music really suits the tone, particularly in Etha, dramatically telling the story of Jen and Scree's adventures and encounters as they play out. I still enjoy The Devil's Waltz to this day. It ranks among my favourite songs. On the other hand, many of the battles you'll engage in will be accompanied by 16 volts, mostly aggressive rock and electronic sounds. Eric of 16 Volt, who helped write some tracks specifically for Primal, explained that Cambridge reached out for collaboration, which the lead singer excitedly agreed to, thanks to a member of the team listening to their music and thinking it would fit. You can hear their song Every Day Everything playing for Lewis's performance in the game's introductory scene. Eric also went on to state having been playing the game before it came out. They travelled to view Primal being featured at E3, but this may have only been a trailer from all the footage I could source from the event. Some rummaging into 16 Volt playing an early copy revealed that most likely the band members were playing a review version conjured up a short time before release, so it's almost like the official title. There is also an official demo, and some others do exist on the side. Some were naturally produced during 2002, including my own limited edition preview. It contains about 2 minutes of gameplay.
Battle and enemies.
For battle, there's about 21 movesets in the game. Cambridge took inspiration from the video game Soul Calibur for their battle system, but it isn't exactly Primal's strong point due to very repetitive motions. Using just R2 and L2 for heavy and light attacks, tap the button and you have a quick attack, offering low damage. Hold it down to perform a slower but more heavy duty attack. Jen can sneak up behind opponents and perform stealth kills, but it's pretty difficult. Enemies can spot you through walls, but if you get it right, you can make some new friends. Each demon form has a unique weapon. Ferai has Wolverine claws, Undyne own tendril whips, Wraith has a dagger and whip, with their ability to use speed in a fight. And Jin has twin blades that can be conjoined into one longer sword for stronger, far-reaching attacks at the cost of speed. There's a strict limit on how many enemies will attack Jen, typically focusing on one who will engage, or back off while one of their friends comes in from the side. Nothing the player can't handle. A taunt is also included if an opponent backs off too often. Jen also has a spin attack, where she'll do a little twirl to strike anyone nearby. Whenever the player feels too overwhelmed, using this action can grant some leeway. Speaking of enemies, every world has their own unique enemy types, but there isn't many. For those who stand, you can really see the effort that went into their development. Guards and Nitha will even bow in acknowledgement of the player. So some nice little touches.
Bugs.
While the game itself is easily considered an overlooked classic, the bugs are hard to miss. There are issues with lag, and the skyboxes are missing in both the PS4 and PS5 ports, and this is compared with the original release. But you have issues native to the PS2, like Scree becoming one with the void, phasing through corners, and learning to fly. In
What
the
the
review copy
F?
that got issued to IGN, among others, this contains the whole of Solum and other realms that can outright crash. I'm amazed they didn't give this a worse rating. On other sites you'll find Primal receiving a solid 7 out of 10, while others only give it a 5 out of 10. The marks across the board are rather mixed. Development was far too rushed and it paid the price in multiple ways. Chris explained that while very little was cut from Primal, they tried to pack in far too much toward the end of development, emphasizing issues with bugs. Regardless, I always find myself coming back to Primal. The environments, characters, interactions between Jen and Scree, it has a lot of soul. There's something definitely strange about those towers though, I just can't say what that is yet. And while really not a bug, the camera is a common complaint. It simply may not display exactly what you want it to.
I'm not gonna lie, but I also, because, 2 years ago when I was playing Primal, I was in the first demon realm of Solum, right? In the demon realm of Solum, I did have, not so much, but what I'm saying, like a little problem with the camera movements and all. I didn't know which direction where to go or where am I supposed to go while I was walking around and stuff. I was like, where am I supposed to go? It's all blurry. And I just didn't know where to go because I was clueless. Lara Croft!
In Nitha lies a headstone whereon it's written Lara Croft 2003, mere moments before it shattered, insinuating Jen to be a type of Lara Croft killer, placing her above Lara in terms of female protagonists. Given a new Tomb Raider game was brewing at the time, this potentially meant that Cambridge Studios was working against the clock, meaning the team were making a rushed game to compete against another rushed game. Tomb Raider The Angel of Darkness was being produced at the time, and it's universally known as an entry that had a lot of potential. Core definitely needed some more baking time. As you can imagine, Primal didn't fare too well.
Primal 2!
was in the works but got cancelled. The premise of the following release was to mainly expand on Lewis's story, and potentially even involve Jen's new journey, but given Primal's poor sales figures, they needed to switch it up a bit and bring it back to the drawing board. There's going to be some recurring characters, but then 24 the game propped up, so Primal 2 never came to be.
I am still pissed about that. Why the game 24? we die-hard Primal fans want Primal 2 and a TV show adaptation of the game. Like, as of right now, y'all. Not later, not years, now. Because this game is a bloody masterpiece for the PlayStation 2, y'all. So, we really need to convince Bob and Bard to make the TV show adaptation come true and make it to a freaking reality. Because this game is everything to us diehard Primal fans. You guys know what I'm saying?
We can see in concept art that there is definitely going to be a lot of modern urban elements, a crossover between worlds, but we'll never know for certain what could have been. Pretty much all of Primal's materials, such as wallpapers, concept art, you name it, is online to find, and it's uploaded by random individuals to random websites like Pinterest. There's a making of video that you can unlock by progressing through the game, and I'd recommend giving it a watch. There's no HD version though, so keep in mind that the quality looks like this for everyone. The original Primal site has obviously gone down, but I remember needing my VIP card back in the day in order to access behind the scenes material. It was no longer necessary as time went on, since those were eventually made public. And then the entire website went down seemingly around the 2016 time period. You can still access the website using archive.org, but you'll need a Flash plugin to view anything because not only are the in-game menus written in Flash, so was their entire website. I would highly recommend playing through Primal. Prices vary, but you can get a good deal here and there. And it was on sale on the PlayStation Store last I checked, though that might be over now. Also, for anyone who has seen the Primal adverts, it doesn't do well in showcasing the game. The Japanese version in particular seemed to be making more of an effort on commentary of modern issues than anything else. Nor were there any versions saved in anything higher than 360p, so hopefully you understand. Ultimately, this is a game that I'll continue to play on and off for the unforeseeable future. It's one of those titles that you rarely see, in terms of its atmosphere, or even in terms of protagonists that come across in such a likable fashion, and the voice acting is great across the board.
Conclusion.
So, where to score Primal? It's easily a solid 7 out of 10, and an experience you'll want to go through at least once, a diamond in the rough. Its age is starting to kick in, but if you can look past that, then you're in for a treat. With that said, thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll give this title a go, especially given that it's Primal's 20th year anniversary as of making this video. An online museum based in the UK, named Computing History, currently has some concept work and character designs available for view for free on their website, so if you have a desire to look at that, then I'd recommend it as well. I'm not sure if I'll ever make anything like this again. Take care, and until some other time.
Well, guys, I hope you guys liked that anniversary reaction by yours truly, Scotty McCloud. And I am still shocked to this day that this bloody masterpiece didn't got a damn sequel for the PlayStation 2. Like, come on, man. Everything about it is everything. The voice acting, the level designs, the characters, everything about the whole game of Primal. It just makes you want to make new creativity in games and all that stuff. But 24, the game, really? Oh my gosh. I don't know why Studio Cambridge decided to can Primal 2 and make that humble garbage TV show game from the TV show of 24. Like, come on, man. We diehard Primal fans want Primal 2 and a TV show adaptation of the game. Like, man, that just sucks, entirely. But anyway, I hope you guys like this reaction, and you guys know what to do, right? Let me give this a like. But anyway, you guys know what to do, right? Give this a like. Comment down below what you guys thought about my reaction to Vinata's Primal review of the 20th anniversary special of Primal. And click on the notification bell to get notified of my videos each week. I'll see you guys in the next Primal video. Anyway, guys, it was nice, doing Primal content and all. And I hope to keep doing more Primal content because this is my favorite game as of 2025 because I played it like I said, I played the game like 2 years ago and it really did become my absolute favorite game for the PlayStation 2. But like I said, sometime of next month I'm gonna start replaying Primal all over again and experience the magical event of all time. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys like this, and you guys already know what to do, what I just said a little while back. And yeah,